Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Crew Bites. Today we're going to make a special Christmas cake, Yule Log Cake. Yule log or Christmas block is a specially selected log burnt as part of tradition during Christmas in regions of Europe. A Yule log cake is a cake made based on that old tradition. It's basically a chocolate sponge cake roll that's filled with cream and covered with chocolate ganache and made to look like a log. It's a very simple cake to make but tastes so divine. Very light and airy cake that's so irresistible. So let's get started. So at first let's prepare the chocolate sponge cake. So for this you need 7 large eggs, white granulated sugar, cocoa powder and cake flour. I'll explain later in the video how you can substitute cake flour with all-purpose flour. Now separate the egg whites and yolks because we'll be whipping the egg whites separately and the egg yolks separately. So this is the egg whites from 7 eggs, about 210 grams, and egg yolks 126 grams. So now preheat your oven to 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now to a large bowl, add the 7 egg whites and we're going to whip this on high speed until the egg whites turn frothy and white. And then slowly add 2 tablespoons of the granulated sugar and continue whipping until medium peaks are formed. We do not want stiff peaks here because then it will be hard to fold into the cake batter. See, now our egg whites are whipped well. So a meringue is ready. Now keep this aside. Now in a large bowl, add the 7 large egg yolks along with half cup plus 2 tablespoons of white sugar, which is around 125 grams of the sugar. Beat well on high speed until the mixture turns light in color and has tripled in volume. So you'll know when it is really a pale yellow color. This is what it should be. And see, this is called the ribbon stage. See, when I write the number 8, you can see it and it disappears. Now let's add the egg whites. So fold in the egg whites into the egg yolk mixture. So just add in portions and fold in very gently. We do not want the airy texture of the batter to loose because that's what it gives the cake a very light and airy texture. So fold in 3/4 of the whipped egg whites into the egg yolk mixture and then start adding the dry ingredients. So at first we're going to add the cake flour, which is 60 grams, half cup. See, if this is how you can substitute cake flour with all-purpose flour. So just use this formula and use this instead. So here I'm adding now half cup of cake flour, which is 60 grams, and fold in gently so that the flour is well combined with the egg mixture. But be gentle, we do not want to ruin the airy texture of the batter. So just be mindful about that. And also adding in cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons. So if you're making vanilla cake, you can substitute cocoa powder with the same amount of cake flour and just fold in gently into the egg mixture. Now add the final portion of the egg white mixture as well and fold in into the mixture. Also adding in a pinch of salt and just fold in lightly until just combined. Be very gentle when you fold because it's a very delicate batter and you do not want to deflate your batter and ruin all the hard work you have done. So just bear that in mind. So now our batter is ready. We'll be baking this cake in a cookie sheet pan. So this is about 12 by 18 inches. Grease and line with baking paper. Do apply butter on top of the baking paper as well. And transfer the entire batter into the pan and spread gently and evenly to all edges of the pan. See how airy the batter is. You can see tiny bubbles. So just spread out gently. And then we're going to bake it in a preheated oven at 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Do place the pan in the middle rack of the oven and bake for 12 to 15 minutes. See, the baking time depends on your oven, so do check after 10 minutes because this cake bakes really fast due to the thickness and the high temperature required to make the foamed eggs rise. So just keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, let's prepare the chocolate ganache for frosting the cake. This is a very simple ganache recipe. So you need heavy cream, 3/4 cup, baking chocolate, 1 cup, and butter, 1 tablespoon. So first we need to bring the cream to a boil either in a microwave or on a stove top. And then once the cream comes to a boil, immediately add 1 cup of baking chocolate. Here I'm using dark chocolate. You can use semi-sweet chocolate as well, along with a tablespoon of unsalted butter, and just whisk it well so that the chocolate is well melted and you get a very smooth and shiny mixture. See, adding butter makes the ganache a bit shiny. Now we're going to keep this aside so that it cools to room temperature. Now let's move on to the filling. So we're going to do a very simple cream filling using whipping cream and sugar, and I'm going to make this chocolate cream by adding a bit of ganache as well. So for this you need heavy whipping cream, at least 35% of fat, 1 1/4 cup, and caster sugar, which is very fine sugar, about 1/4 cup, and later on we'll be adding the chocolate ganache as well. Now to a large bowl, add 1 1/4 cups of heavy whipping cream and whip it on high speed. And once you start whipping, slowly add 1/4 cup of caster sugar, which is super fine sugar, and we're going to whip the cream and the sugar until stiff peaks are formed, but be careful not to over whip the cream. See, now our cream is whipped well, so I'm adding 2 tablespoons of the cooled chocolate ganache. Make sure it's at room temperature. You can also add melted chocolate to it and just whisk or whip until well combined. So our chocolate cream filling is ready. So you can use any other filling of your choice. I just used a very basic filling, which is very light for this cake, and adjust the amount of sugar if you want it a bit more sweet. So now keep this aside. Now let's prepare the simple syrup. Simple syrup is nothing but adding equal amounts of sugar and water in a saucepan and bring it to a boil until the sugar melts, and allow it to cool before you use it. Now let's move on to the next stage, which is assembling the cake. So our cake is out of the oven after 12 minutes, and allow it to cool completely in the pan itself. So once cooled completely, remove the cake from the pan just by lifting the baking paper, and just keep it on a flat work surface. And this is a very delicate cake, so just handle it very carefully and just apply the cooled sugar syrup all over the cake so that the cake is moistened well. And then add the chocolate cream filling and spread out evenly so that you get a uniform layer of the filling. Do leave a 1-inch gap on the top and bottom of the long sides so that it will be easy when you roll the cake into a log shape. Now gently lift the cake from the longer side and roll it tightly, and then make sure that the seam side is down and just press it gently. So this is the log, and I'm just applying lightly a thin layer of the filling just to give a coating on the outside of the cake, just on the outer side, and just wrap it in baking paper and cling wrap it and refrigerate it for 1 hour to firm up. After 1 hour, take out the cake from the refrigerator and remove the wrap. And now we are going to do the frosting on the cake. So first, using a serrated knife, cut off the edges from both sides so that it it has that log effect. And from the front end, just diagonally cut off a piece as shown. So we'll be attaching this piece to the side of the main cake as shown, just to give that log effect, like a tiny branch coming out from the main side. So I've applied some ganache and attached that piece to the main roll. Just press it gently, and now with the ganache, just frost the cake all over the outer part. There's no need for you to lift the cake and frost it underneath, just the outer sides of the cake. And the frosting need not be very smooth and perfect, because we want that log effect on the cake. So just apply it roughly, see, like this, and allow it to rest for 5 minutes so that the ganache sets well. And then using a fork, just create bark lines on the cake to get that wooden log look. So you can either use a fork or you can use a skewer to do it, and do it very gently, so that this is the creative part of this cake. I love doing this. And now we are going to refrigerate this cake for 30 minutes at least before we do the decorations. So this is our cake after 30 minutes of refrigeration. Isn't it looking like a wooden log already? Now let's get to the final stage and the fun part of decorating the cake. These are some meringue mushrooms I've made. Just beat the egg whites, adding a bit of sugar and cream of tartar. Just piped it into, small round shaped cookies, and the stem as well. This step is completely optional. You don't have to do this. You can just dust the cake with some icing sugar and decorate it with some fruits. I just love making these cute meringue mushrooms. I just applied some ganache and then attached the stem to the mushroom. See how cute our mushrooms are, and they're edible too. That's a good thing. Now let's start decorating the cake. So I've transferred the cake onto a cake board, and then I'm going to place these cute meringue mushrooms on top of the cake and some on the cake board, so that it looks very real, and just dusting it with some cocoa powder to get that dirt effect on the mushrooms. And also I've added some berries and dusting it with icing sugar to give that snow effect. And there you go, our beautiful Yule Log cake is ready to serve. Isn't it so beautiful? It's just looking like a wooden log, and with those tiny meringue mushrooms, it looks so beautiful. It's a very light and airy cake, and these are the cake slices. So soft and light, it just melts in your mouth. If you're a cake lover, this is one such cake that is definitely not to be missed. So please give it a try. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe, like and share. New videos are uploaded every Tuesday and Friday. Until then, goodbye.